You're listening to The Philosopher's Note on Harmonic Wealth. More wisdom in less time.
Hi, this is Brian. Welcome to The Philosopher's Notes on Harmonic Wealth by James Arthur Ray. Quote, maybe you know people who make millions of dollars a year but don't have fulfilling relationships or good health. Or people who spend their lives committed to religion or spirituality, literally touching the divine, but have holes in their shoes. We all know people who have razor-sharp intellects, but are out of shape and out of touch. There's a much more integrated, fulfilling way to live. I call it harmonic wealth. End quote. That's James Arthur Ray from Harmonic Wealth. He's a funny dude, James Arthur Ray, and I love laughing out loud reading a book about how to live my greatest life. You might remember James from The Secret, or his time on Larry King and/or Oprah. He's the son of a Protestant minister and former top sales trainer at AT&T, who's done a whole lot of exploring, from quantum physics to shamanism. Super passionate and wise guy with an awesome, empowering model for rocking it. Harmonic Wealth is all about harmonizing what he calls the 5 pillars of wealth: financial, relational, mental, physical, and spiritual. The book is seriously packed with big ideas. If you're feeling it and looking for a cutting-edge, highly practical, fun way to create wealth in all dimensions of your life, I highly recommend you pick it up. We're going to kick this party off with a look at the 5 pillars of harmonic wealth. Then we'll explore how to go 3 for 3. We'll meet ceiling surfers. Don't be one, please. Learn from the strong grapes that make fine wines, and have fun with other such goodness. First big idea, the 5 pillars of wealth. Quote, the 5 pillars of wealth: financial, relational, mental, physical, and spiritual. Without these 5 pillars, you might be rich, but you'll never be wealthy. Interestingly enough, I've found that the more you reach this state of true wealth, the more money rushes to you, along with all that money can provide. The universe is at your command and lines up in joyous support of your awakening. End quote. So the essence of harmonic wealth is the idea that we need to have harmony between the different areas of our lives. Think of a great symphony. You've got the musicians playing different instruments, and it's the harmony among them that makes for an outstanding performance. Same thing with our lives. If we don't have the 5 pillars, financial, relational, mental, physical, and spiritual, of wealth harmonized, it's like we're at a really bad concert. James continues, quote, understand that your pillars are interdependent. When you attend to each of them, all increase in strength. When you take care of your health by working out regularly and eating well, you create multiple benefits. Sexual relationships become enhanced by your greater confidence and stamina. Business booms from your increased energy. You're more alert and receptive in spiritual pursuits. You're more alive. Similarly, spiritual growth translates to deepening intimacy in friendships and romantic relationships, fueling your desire to keep up with your physical exercise. End quote. So there you go, 5 pillars. Take care of one, and you see the music come alive in another. He also makes the important distinction that they will not all be equally strong all the time. You want to make sure you're tending to each all the time, but sometimes you'll choose to give 1 or 2 more of your attention than others. That's all good. Dance with the music, harmonize them, and rock on. Next big idea, why balance is bogus. Quote, I'm a great believer in harmony, but balance is bogus. Many teachers talk about balance, and guess what? Not one of them is balanced. I know, I used to be one of them. The only people who are perfectly balanced are 6 feet under, and it's not your time yet. Balance in this world cannot be achieved, so get over it. Think of a scale. In perfect balance, nothing's happening. There's no dynamism, no life or vibrancy. Now, think of a jazz band in action. The life and vibrancy are palpable, aren't they? The performers in this band have less to do with playing the melody as written and more to do with improvising. They give life to nuance, and the music takes shape in the moment. That's harmony. End quote. I love that. Balance is bogus. Osho, you can see the notes on the Book of Understanding, tells us that balance is not a noun, it's a verb. He says, quote, "To be in the middle is not a static state. It is a dynamic phenomenon. Balance is not a noun, it's a verb. It is balancing. The tightrope walker continuously moves from the left to the right, from the right to the left. When he feels now he has moved too much to one side and there is danger of falling, he immediately balances himself by moving to the opposite side. In passing from the left to the right, yes, there is a moment when the tightrope walker is in the middle. And again, when he has moved too much to the right and there is a fear of falling, he is losing balance, he starts moving to the left, and again passes through the middle for a moment." End quote. Imagine that. You're walking across a tightrope. A little to the left, a little to the right. There's a moment when you're in the middle, but the process is dynamic. Such is life. Throw in the complexity of all the aspects of our lives, see the 5 pillars above, and life looks more like a jazz band than a balancing scale, eh? So let's forget about balance and get our harmony on. Next big idea, going 3 for 3. Quote, "We'll reveal how, with Harmonic Wealth, you can create true wealth by going 3 for 3 in the 5 main areas of your life. Going 3 for 3 is what happens when your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are all firing simultaneously and in alignment." End quote. I remember seeing James on Larry King Live talking about going 3 for 3, and I dug it. His idea is simple and really powerful. Basically, it's not enough to have your thoughts on an intention or goal. It's not enough to feel into the outcome and live from that joy. It's not enough to just do it. As he says, we have to go 3 for 3. Our thoughts, feelings, and actions need to align for us to live our greatest lives and experience all we're destined to rock. Next big idea, how are your results? Quote, "You may be able to tap into every theory in quantum physics, spirituality, psychology, philosophy, or anything else they can teach you about accessing your power. But if you can't use that power to create results in your life, it's pointless, useless, a total waste of time." End quote. Well, that gets straight to the point, huh? As we discuss again and again in these notes, it's not about being able to talk about all these great ideas. It's about living them and ultimately producing the results that demonstrate our mastery of the ideas. Another cool idea on this theme, James says, quote, "Your current level of results, your appearances, are nothing more than the residual outcome of your past thoughts, feelings, and actions." End quote. So our current results don't reflect who we are, they reflect who we were. So, no need to get all up in your stuff. You are where you are, and your results simply reveal who you were. Now rock it for 5 years, and then see what your results look like. Next big idea, are you a ceiling surfer? Quote, "Others swing too far into the quantum world and become what I call ceiling surfers. I once had lunch with someone who announced he was going to transform the molecules of his pizza into a salad. Give me a break. That's taking a principle so far it becomes ridiculous. It will bring you nothing but disappointment." End quote. Ceiling surfer. Hilarious. That's what James calls those among us who have gone just a little too far into the ascending spiritual realm, trying to transcend and exclude rather than transcend and include the ego and material realm, and in the process float up to the ceiling and get a little, or a lot, ungrounded and unplugged from reality. The key, obviously, is to integrate the ascending spiritual principles with physical laws of our universe. Check out my notes on Ken Wilber for a bit more on the importance of saying yes and not getting caught up in the silliness of going either or. The next big idea, who will you have to become? Quote, "I remember years ago hearing one of my mentors say, decide to be a millionaire, not for the green slips of paper, but for who you'll have to become to get there." That's what we're doing together, expanding who you are in all of the key areas of your life so that you'll grow into the person who can create all that you desire. It's really not the goal completion, but the growth that comes in the process that your spiritual self truly desires. I promise you'll never get a desire, a true desire for something you can't achieve. Never have, never will. When you get a real desire, it's your higher self saying, come on, this is what you're capable of. This is what I have in store for you. It's the greater, grander you, echoing backward through time. How cool is that? Now, the only question is, will you heed the call? It was the great mythologist Joseph Campbell who stated, the big question is whether you are going to be able to say a hearty yes to your adventure. Well, what will it be? End quote. That's brilliant. There's a lot of mojo in that passage. First, as Tony Robbins says, you can see the notes on him, who will you have to become to achieve all that you want? As James says, the goals are great, but the real beauty of the future pull we feel from the universe is the opportunity we have in the quest to manifest our intentions to become the extraordinary person we're destined to be. Fact is, remove the goal and you've lost the pull and you've lost the opportunity to shine. Regarding the divine inspiration of our desires, I love what James says there, and Emerson provides an echo. Emerson says, quote, there's nothing capricious in nature, and the implanting of a desire indicates that its gratification is in the constitution of the creature that feels it. Translated, nature doesn't play games. If you have the desire, you have the ability to bring it to life, period. Emerson continues, our desires presage the capacities within us. They are harbingers of what we shall be able to accomplish. What we can do and want to do is projected in our imagination, quite outside ourselves and into the future. We are attracted to what is already ours in secret. Thus, passionate anticipation transforms what is indeed possible into dreamt-for reality. And finally, he says, do that which is assigned to you, and you cannot hope too much or dare too much. With that, I'd like to cue angels singing Alleluia. That's amazing. So what do you really want in your life? Your true desires, the stuff you really feel pulled to. Not because you want to outdo the Joneses or impress the world, but because you really feel called to be, do, and have it. Those desires, they aren't yours, they're God's. Our job is to align with the divine impulse and become the person capable of co-creating them. And the only relevant question comes from Grandpa Joe Campbell. See the notes. He says, the big question is whether you are going to be able to say a hearty yes to your adventure. Well, are you? That leads us to the next big idea, tough grapes, fine wines, and your fine life. Quote, I recently toured the California wine country and was fascinated to learn that in winemaking, the grapes are purposely stressed. Growers take care not to give the grapes much water, even though they raise them in full sunshine, purposely keeping shade to a minimum. This stress is intentional. It keeps grapes right on the border between survival and almost collapsing and dying, because the grapes that survive the test make the finest wine. There's a metaphor here. Don't wish for an easier life. Wish to be at your finest. Just as the finest, most expensive wine comes from the grape that can stand the greatest resistance, you too will grow in direct proportion to the resistance you can sustain. End quote. So fine wines and fine diamonds are both produced by the amount of pressure they can withstand, huh? Nice. So are fine lives. Are you willing to step into the challenge of your own audacity and create the fine wine you're destined to be? Sweet. Here's a toast to that. The next big idea, blessings, curses, and opportunities. Quote, the person of low awareness sees everything in life in a dualistic perspective, either as a blessing or a curse. The master of life sees all things as opportunities. End quote. How do you see the world? Are things either a blessing or a curse? Or do you see all things as opportunities? It's always up to us how we want to interpret the world. As Shakespeare says, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Are you seeing something in your life as a curse right now? The economy, a relationship, your childhood, whatever it is, elevate your awareness and see the opportunity in it. Now is a good time to make that a moment-to-moment practice, by the way. It always is. The next big idea, everything has a gestation period. Quote, everything has a gestation period, a time period that must pass before things will come into form. If you plant a carrot seed, it takes about 7 weeks for the sprout to make its above-dirt entrance. Bamboo, which can grow up to 13 feet in as little as 1 week, takes up to 7 years to break through the surface of the ground. But for 7 long years, it looks like absolutely nothing's happening. Now that takes some commitment." End quote. James talks about the fact that a lot of people get confused with the law of attraction and think that it doesn't work because the moment they snapped their fingers, it didn't appear. Yeah. It takes 9 months for a baby to gestate, 7 weeks for the carrot seed to sprout, and up to 7 years for a bamboo seed to push through the surface of the ground. It takes commitment to bring our highest selves to the world. It doesn't happen without a lot of diligent, patient, and persistent work. Are you getting a little impatient with something? Can you appreciate the necessary gestation period a little more, and then get back to going 3 for 3 as you love the journey? Say yes. All right, the next question, or next big idea, is a question. Are you a now or later person? Quote, "If I asked you what kind of person you are, a now or later person, which would you choose?" I'll give you the breakdown. The now folks are consistently drawn toward pleasing activities, spending their time getting lost in TV, sex, food, laziness. You know, all the fun in the moment stuff. The later group, on the other hand, is drawn toward pleasing results, often engaging in less than pleasing activities in the moment. They invest their time in things like going to the gym, working long hours, reading good books, attending personal transformation events, hanging out with people who stretch their thinking, following through, risking, becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. Which of these two groups of people do you think experiences real freedom? Which category do you fall into? Be honest. End quote. Delayed gratification. It's a hallmark of emotionally intelligent people. In his great book, Emotional Intelligence, you can see the notes, Daniel Goleman describes an experiment in which 4-year-old kids are left in a room alone and told they can have 2 marshmallows if they wait for the experimenter to return from an errand. If they can't wait till then, they can have only 1 marshmallow, but they can have it now. Some kids were able to hold off the 15 to 20 minutes, what must have felt like an eternity, while others jumped on the 1 marshmallow, almost always within seconds. What's fascinating is that their choice revealed a great deal about the trajectory that child would take in their lives. As Goleman says, quote, "There is perhaps no psychological skill more fundamental than resisting impulse. Bottom line, we must be able to delay immediate gratification in pursuit of our goals. So go for the 2 marshmallows, will you? Be a little patient. Be a later person." 2 more big ideas. Next one, what do you do for fun? Quote, "People often ask me, what do you do for fun and recreation? There's an unspoken expectation that I come up with a whole list of activities I'm involved in. Hiking, camping, going to movies, skiing, but I don't. The bottom line is that my work is my passion and my recreation. Notice the true meaning of the word, recreation. I can think of nothing more fulfilling and recreating than to meditate, study, read, learn, write, create, help, and coach others, talk with you, and share insights. When someone asks me, how's work, I can honestly answer, work is play. Work is my prayer and my love made manifest. Every human being who's ever lived has a hardwired need to be part of something meaningful, to be part of something that's bigger than this ordinary existence, to contribute some kind of value to the world, to feel like life has meaning and purpose. That's true for you too, whether you know it or not." End quote. Genius. Abraham Maslow, you can see the notes on him, talks about the fact that in the healthiest among us, the dichotomy between work and play dissolves. So what do you say when your work is your play? And is your work your play? If not, what can you do to make it so? And the final big idea, your future pull is beckoning. Your future and your destiny are patiently waiting for you to catch up. Do you hear the call? Your future pull is beckoning. Come on, let's do this. You're so much more than what you've settled for, so much more than what you're buying into. End quote. I love that. We've barely even scratched the surface of all the big ideas in this great book. If you're feeling it, I think you'll enjoy it. For now, come on, let's do this. to our destinies, my friend. That wraps up the note. I will share a bit about James Arthur Ray, some notes you might enjoy, and some quotes from the sidebar. The author of Harmonic Wealth, James Arthur Ray, grew up the son of a minister, immersed in traditional Christian religion. A practical mystic and thriving entrepreneur, he is one of the few spiritual teachers to have achieved top honors in the business world, having worked with AT&T and Stephen Covey before becoming a successful entrepreneur and business growth expert. As coach and mentor, James has taught thousands of individuals and organizations how to create harmonic wealth in all areas of their life and business. He lives in San Diego. That is from the book. You can learn more about James Arthur Ray at harmonicwealth.com. If you enjoyed this Philosopher's Note, I think you'll also enjoy the notes on Tony Robbins, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Abraham Maslow, Ken Wilber, Pathways to Bliss, The Success Principles, The Power of Full Engagement, The Magic of Thinking Big, and Psycho-Cybernetics. Now for some quotes. These are all from James Arthur Ray. Let me ask you, what has to happen for you to unleash your potential and live up to your abilities? Most people leave this life with the greatest pain a human can experience, regret. Looking all the way back across their lives, they say when it's too late, my God, I could have done something great. I had the chance, but I didn't have the courage. Let that not be you. Integrity, from the same root as the word integrated, comes when a person's words and behaviors match up. True integrity, the true test of character, is to live what you say is important to you, even when you don't feel like it, to live your values above and beyond your moods. It's easier to have courage and trust the process when you feel you're making headway. Mastery is not persistence when you see a light at the end of the tunnel. True mastery is persistence when you don't yet see the light. We live in a world that's addicted to the concept of maximum return for minimum investment. It's an epidemic. Let that not be you. The question for the true student of growth is, what has to happen for the stuff that strengthens you and moves you forward in life to be considered fun? Consider what you want, then work enthusiastically on all levels to create it. There's a big difference between being grateful for your current affairs and being stuck in the death of complacency. You want to go big? You've got to get big. Therefore, where is God not? Where is spirit not? Where is energy not? What I consistently hammer home to my students is that all goals are spiritual goals. So to say that you're going to abandon the material world to become more spiritual is nothing more than escapism. In fact, it's total bullshit. How do you measure being more spiritual? You can't. But what you can measure are the results you're creating in the physical world, all just a reflection of who you are. Jesus said, "By their fruits you shall know them." Matthew 7:15-16. When you're someone who believes that we all have God within us and that everything happens for a reason, then isn't everything spiritual? Appearances only tell you who you were, not where you're going or who you're becoming. No one who was normal ever made history. There's a law in our universe that's backed up by physics which states energy flows where attention goes. Our challenge is to shift our attention to what we truly value and keep it there. Knowing that nothing dynamic's happening when you're in balance, why would you want to be? Harmony is where it's at. Harmony is dynamic and full of life, even if you choose to venture temporarily into choppy seas. While it's true that you can't control the waves, who said you can't learn to surf? So with my way, you're going to have to get used to the idea that you're never going to be in perfect balance, nor would you want to be. Perfect balance is death of mind and spirit. People will look at your life and think, my God, it's magic. They'll be right. You created that magic. There you go. There's a quick look at a great book, Harmonic Wealth by James Arthur Ray. Hope you enjoyed. Here's to creating the beautiful harmony in your lives in each of the 5 pillars, the financial, relational, mental, physical, and spiritual. Let's go out there and rock our greatest destinies. It's an honor to share your life with you and looking forward to sharing more. Have a great day.
We hope you enjoyed this Philosopher's Note. Please go to www.philosophersnotes.com to download more.